welcome to this special edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. This edition is packed with an exclusive interview with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, on the company's incremental power projects. We also bring you more news from the power sector, all in this edition. I am Chiwenwa Anyanwu. There are agitations as to why the federal government is investing 72 billion naira into the distribution networks through the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Could you expatiate on this initiative?
The agitation is actually coming from Association of Discos. And we don't have any issue with any association because we have agreement with each of the discos, not with the association. So the discos have right to do the association, but we, as a matter of policy, we cannot engage the association. But it is interesting to hear this from them because if you look at the investment requirement of the discos, when we simulated based on the transmission rehabilitation expansion program, the total investment requirement of the discos is about $4.4 billion. Now, that $4.4 billion to enable them to take the load that we are trying to put under the transmission rehabilitation and expansion program. You know, according to the power pyramid, as generation is 7,000, transmission is supposed to be 14,000, and distribution is supposed to be 28,000. Now, if you look at all this time that the privatization took place, investment never go to the distribution. You know what I'm trying to talk about. So now, if the total investment requirement is $4.4 billion, so what is 72 billion? 72 billion is just a drop in the ocean. So this is what I want to say. So for anybody to even start wasting his time on that 72 billion tells you what that person is. But the question now is, how did we arrive at the 72 billion? Did we sit down and determine their value? No. It means that we are working with discos, and it's not every disco, because that 72 billion cannot go to everybody. So it's only those willing discos that are willing to work with us that we are talking to. And those ones have provided all the required documents. That's why we are able to prepare the bidding document. If not, it's not possible. So the implementation of that 72 billion actually is started in TCN, but we are working together with the Ministry of Power and the respective discos that are involved. But if I may ask, I think it's interesting for Nigerians to ask the Association of Discos. All the money that they have collected from the system, TCN collect only about between 30 and 40% of our revenue. The rest is kept by the discos. I think it would be interesting for them to tell Nigerians what they did with that money, instead of them to start asking. And even the 213 billion that they collected from the central bank, where did this money go? Have you ever seen the advert of their procurement? How do they do their procurement? This is the question that they should answer.
What is the update on the approval of the extraordinary tariff for TCN at the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC?
TCN is the most vulnerable company in the sector. As we speak with you, the discos are collecting money and they are paying based on what they call base endeavor. They pay based on what they like to pay. The generators are being supported by the 701 payment assurance. The only company that is not protected is transmission. And that is why we have to convince our staff to use in-house capacity to stabilize the grid. So all this support that we are, all this expansion that we are doing actually, we are getting from the support that the staff are giving, using their time to ensure that what we get from contractor, we actually get it from them. And we are getting it at a far, far cheaper price. That's why we are expanding the network. We have got support from multilateral donors, which we have reached advanced stage in the procurement of most of them. But you have to understand that multilateral donor money can only be used for the expansion of the network. It cannot be used for operation and maintenance. It cannot be used to pay salary. You can't use that money to pay salary. So that's why you see that we are in a very terrible situation. I believe last year we met NAC and we presented a case for extraordinary tariff review, and they accepted it. And we actually agreed certain numbers with them. That there are certain numbers that they are willing to offer, even though we believe that it's not adequate because they reduce our investment. Now, they said in the past we didn't make investment, therefore they are punishing us for not providing that investment. But in reality, is it our fault? When the discos didn't release the money, how do we get the money to do the investment? But now that we have worked with the donors and we have raised money, we are the only one investing in the unit, in the sector. Yet, we are asked that we should forgo that. But even the one that they agree, up to now, has not been communicated to us. But the reality of the matter is that TCN is the most vulnerable in the power sector as at now.
In a recent interview, you spoke about TCN's efforts in procuring spinning reserve for the electricity grid stability. How far has this process gone?
The advert of spinning reserve is coming to an end. Immediately we close it, we are going to open and then do the evaluation, and then we're going to sign the contract. I believe that latest by October we should have a contract for spinning reserve signed. So we should be able to start the implementation in conjunction with NAC. So that means it will be the first time in the history of this country that we are going to have a spinning reserve of that quantum. And that will go a long way to stabilize the grid. Because the work of spinning reserve is actually to come in when there's a great instability. Like sometime around January, when we have 2 generators went out from one of the generating companies, and it caused system instability. The system collapsed. If you have a spinning reserve, the spinning reserve will have come up to stabilize the grid during that period when that generator went out. So that's the work of the spinning reserve, and it's one of the 4 things that we need to put in place to modernize and stabilize the grid. So we'll be happy. We are very happy that NAC eventually approved the competitive procurement of the spinning reserve.
Let's take a break for a short message. Please stay tuned.
In the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, we transmit bulk electricity from power generating companies, GenCos, to distribution load centers of various distribution companies, DISCOs. Nationwide, we do not generate electricity, neither do we distribute same directly to electricity consumers. TCN has 2 business units: the Transmission Service Provider, TSP, and Independent System Operations, ISO. The ISO comprises of System Operation, SO, and Market Operation, MO. The business units all perform specialized functions under the TCN umbrella. Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, wielding power for national economic growth. This message is brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.
Welcome back. The exclusive interview with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, continues. What would you say about the improvements in electricity supply and the role TCN has played to increase electricity transmission nationwide?
We are making a lot of improvement because we are expanding the network. But you see, whatever we are doing, the only people that are going to benefit are the 18 customers, 330 and 132 kV customers that are connected directly to the grid, and also the international customers, that is the Niger and Benin and Togo. All other customers of electricity in Nigeria, they are connected through the DISCO. And you can see investment is not entering the DISCOs. So this is the biggest challenge we have, and that is why it is interesting for TCN to see that there is investment in DISCOs. We have several transformers that we have commissioned now in several of these DISCOs that no single load is taken on them. So if you look at it, somebody can say, why are we even expanding? But the reality of the matter is that it's very, very important for us to expand because it's more difficult to fix transmission than to fix DISCO. Because transmission equipment, almost 100% are important. Distribution equipment, many of them are manufactured here in Nigeria. The right of way of transmission is wider, is sometimes up to 25 meters each side. The right of way of distribution is small. So you see that to fix a transmission is more difficult than fixing a distribution. So when we fix distribution and transmission, we can be able to fix distribution. But if you look at what this government has done in the since this president has come in, President Muhammad Buhari has come in, we have actually moved very significantly in terms of generation. Generation was about 3,500 when the president came in. It's now over 7,000. Transmission was about 5,000 when the president came in. It's now over 7,000. So we believe that with the right policy and step, and I believe that the government is taking the right decision on DISCO, so that the privatization we have should bring investment. Why should you have a privatization that no investment comes in?
You recently said TCN engineers have been installing several transformers. What are the plans to further sustain this innovation?
Manitoba was here for 4.5 years. Manitoba is a Canadian company, even though they are registered here in Nigeria. But I can tell you that what we have installed in terms of transformation capacity and line in the last 1.5 year is more than what has been done in the last 10 years. More than what has been done in the last 10 years. We have not done anything spectacular apart from motivating the staff and tell them they can do it. And also we have done a couple of training. You remember we partnered with APUA where 310 engineers were trained. We send our engineers to training in Germany, we send them in India. We're actually working with the Embassy of India and the Power Grid of India on an exchange program where we'll send our engineers to be trained there, and then they will bring their people also to train our people in-house. So this is what we are doing. We have also made Nigerians to believe that they can also do it. There's no reason they cannot do it. As we speak with you, TCN engineers are building a substation on an island in Lagos called Elashi. Everything they are doing by themselves. They are carrying roads, they are carrying chippings to the island. They carry the transformer on the sea to that place. And I can tell you that work is about 95% complete. And before I gave them the job to do, I asked for cost estimates if we are going to tender. The cost estimate was about 1 billion. So far now, the job is about 95%, and they have not collected up to 100 million. So this is what we are doing to change it's a game changer. And I believe also if the discourse are actually pragmatic and they are innovative, many of them could do the same thing, because fixing distribution transformer is easier. So what we need in the industry is investment. We also need what you call innovation. We cannot just stay in one place and be thinking, lamenting in one place. That is the issue.
As an expert in the power sector leading TCN, a core section in the value chain, what is your expectation on infrastructure in the next 5 years?
By 2021, we are seeing the possibility of having a stable grid, because we will have implemented the 4 things that I told you we need to do. That is, we will have installed SCADA, we will have achieved frequency control according to the grid code, we will have achieved a spinning reserve, and we will have completed at least significant part of the critical investment in lines and substations, which is being financed both by the federal government and by the multilateral donors. So we stabilize the grid to 20,000 megawatt, and also we'll have a system that will be devoid of system collapses. Now, for the generation, you know, the government has done a lot of work in generation. The Mambila project that you have been hearing for several years, Mambila has been closed by this government of Buhari. The Zungeru, which was started by that government, they have continued to pump money. By the grace of God, by end of next year, Zungeru is going to be completed. We have several other projects that are coming up, like Ajib. We have Black Rhino in Akwa Ibom State is also coming up, and several other small generation that are coming up. We also have to understand that the Trans-Nigerian gas pipeline that I've been talking about for several years has actually been signed by this government with a completion period of 30 months. So we are actually working with them to see a generation in place like Kano and Kaduna, which will significantly stabilize the grid, because lack of generation in those places which are load center is also a problem to the grid. And that is why there are a lot of strain on Shiroro, which is closer to those places. But if we have a generation in that place, it will stabilize the grid. So this is what I will say. We expect the power sector will significantly change. We don't believe that DISCO will continue to be the way it is. It has to change, of course. And just like the generation and transmission have moved, we expect that DISCOs are also going to move.
Does this mean TCN has more work to do to meet this target?
Of course, TCN has a lot of work to do, and you know every day I prepare for every day's work. Anytime you see G. Mohammed, you see G. Mohammed plus 10 kilometers. I do a minimum of 10 kilometers every day to prepare for this work. And that is why we are not afraid of all the challenges, because we prepare every day for the challenges.
In furtherance of its transmission, rehabilitation, and expansion program, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has commissioned a 1x60 MVA 132/33 kV transformer at its Bida transmission substation in Niger State.
The Managing Director, CEO of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed, at the commissioning said the company is fast-tracking various transmission projects under TREP. Mohammed, who was represented by the head transmission service provider, TSP, Mr. Victor Adewumi, said,
under this program, TCN is expanding its network, building new substations, and strengthening the existing substations. The objective is to rehabilitate, expand, and modernize the grid in order to stabilize, provide necessary flexibilities, and provide necessary redundancy, and increase the wheeling capacity of TCN to at least 20,000 megawatts in the next 4 years.
He said the station was commissioned in 1980 with 30 MVA transformer, but was later upgraded to 60 MVA before the subsequent upgrade.
When we do our studies and discover that the city is expanding because of various institutions and even industries that we know will come up here, we decided again to increase this station by another 60 MVA capacity.
With the substation capacity upgraded to 120 MVA, bulk power supply to Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, has increased with improved electricity available for distribution to households in Bida Town, Lemu, Zungeru, Army Barracks, Dogo, Agaye, Kacha, Kutugi, through AEDC's injection substation connected to the Bida transmission substation. TCN said the installation came with 3 33 kV feeders to ensure effective bulk power wheeling capacity. He also said the company has many other projects in the state, noting that
we have a plan to bring 2x60 MVA substation to Lambata very, very soon. And again, as part of our expansion program, our major substation in Jeba, we want to bring in 150 MVA in 330 kV level, and equally install another 60 MVA at the 13230 kV level that will supply all our customers in that area.
Governor of Niger State, Alhaji Abubakar Sani Bello, who was represented by his deputy, Mr. Mohammed Ketso, thanked TCN for commissioning the project. As he said,
this project, as he stated, we believe is going to serve our community very well. But at the same time, I think AEDC need to do more to complement the effort of the TCN.
The governor also assured TCN of dealing with the issue of illegal miners earlier raised by the TCN management, as it was affecting transmission towers and heavy power installations of the company along its right-of-way in the states.
Where they're supposed not to do anything on the transformer rights of way. Whatever is being done there, they should please find a way to make sure they should do the right thing.
The traditional ruler of Nupe Kingdom, Etu Nupe, His Royal Highness Yahaya Abubakar, lauded the efforts to improve electricity supply under the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. He said,
we appreciate and want to sincerely thank the authority, especially the federal government, the state government, and the TCN, that actually are making this effort to ensure that our people actually enjoy power supply. Hereby commission this power station for the benefit of the community. May God help us.
This is to commemorate
commemorates the official commissioning of the 1/60 NTA 132/33 kV power transformer in Bida Transmission Substation, Niger State, by His Excellency the Governor of Niger State, Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Bello, on the 28th of September, August 2018. We pray to Almighty Allah to guide us and protect us. Thank you.
Our soundbite of the week is next.
As we speak with you, TCN is building a substation on an island in Lagos, a place they call Elashe. When I came here and I asked for the cost estimate for the construction of that substation, it was about 1 billion naira. I can tell you the job is about 95% complete now. Even the transformer is on plane, they are coupling it. And what we have spent is less than 100 million. So that's how this thing. No more new money came to TCN now. In fact, we are even worse because the discos are now heat is more on us. They are not paying much money to us. But it's because we are doing innovation, we are using in-house capacity, we are telling our people they need to fix the grid. You understand? Because we have to fix the grid. And they are working very hard, and that's how we are achieving what we are achieving.
The Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA, has inducted 70 of its new engineers and technical inspectors for training at the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN.
The Managing Director of NEMSA, Engineer Peter Eweso, who spoke at the induction ceremony at the NAPTIN headquarters in Abuja, said the training was part of the agency's resolve to bridge skills gap in the power sector.
I want to say thank you for keeping the flag of NAPTIN flying with your team, and we say we are together in this journey.
As of June 2018, NEMSA has trained 142 electrical inspectors at NAPTIN. While 87 of them were trained in Lagos, the other 55 senior electrical inspectors began their training in Abuja in May 2018. Eweso, who is also the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation, CEIF, urged the current set of trainees to make the best use of the training so they can be well equipped to inspect and certify safe networks in the sector.
You should know and appreciate the enormous responsibility that is on NEMSA, and that invariably, consequently, upon you, young men and women who are coming.
Speaking to newsmen after the induction ceremony, Eweso said NEMSA has capacity for massive meter testing and certification for the meter asset providers' MAP regulation.
We are already creating a meter test station in Enugu, which is going to be completed by the end of this year, and then we expect by next year, first quarter of next year, it will kick into operation. And we are equally kickstarting the one in Kano to ensure that we capture all the meters that actually will be coming into the country.
The Acting Director General of the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, Mr. Ahmed Bolaji Nagode, whose institute delivered the training, explained the scope, saying,
"It's likely what I would call an induction in the program, and also capacity building to really understand the basic things, that are required. That's the elementary knowledge, of the sector, and elementary knowledge, of what they need to do as inspectors."
We now bring you more reports in the Power Flash segment. Don't go away. Viewer, this is the much we can bring to you in this episode. Keep a date with us as we keep track of developments in the power sector. Join us on Power Wheel, same time, same station next week. Until then, you can watch our program via our YouTube channel and reach us through these other platforms showing on your screen. I am Chinwenwa Anyanwu. Bye for now.